Mental illness is a behavioral or mental pattern that causes significant distress or impairment of personal functioning. Such features may be persistent, relapsing, and remitting, or occur as a single episode. With mental illnesses definition in mind, let's see how people think about mental illness.
So, what do you think about mental illness?
I think it is a big problem in our country. I think that it is not given as much attention as it should have. There's a lot of stigma surrounding mental illness. People are afraid of what they don't understand. So there's, people with mental illness often will try to hide it because they don't want people to think that they're different.
I think it's very important with mental illness to remember that it's human, and just as they're mentally ill, some people are physically ill, so they need to have proper treatment.
I think mental illness is a problem that a lot of people suffer from here in the United States, and it's almost taboo to talk about a mental illness.
Do you want to talk about your experience about mental illness?
Well, my personal experience, I have never had any personal experience with mental illness, but I have family members who have, specifically depression. And what people don't understand about mental illness is that it's like any other kind of illness in that it's not something that people can just get over. If someone's depressed, you don't just tell them, get over it, snap out of it. It's an actual chemical change in the brain that has to be treated with medication and behavioral therapy.
I suffered from postpartum depression after I gave birth to my first child, but it was something that, again, I didn't want to talk about. I didn't seek help for it, and not until later, when I felt better after a really long time, did I realize that that's what it was.
Do you consider them as a real illness or just simple moods?
Oh no, it's definitely an illness. I mean, you can have, as I tell my students when we're doing actually this chapter right now in my psychology
Really?
class. And I tell my students, anybody can feel kind of bummed out for a few days. That's different than depression. Clinical depression is something where the chemicals in your brain are low. Dopamine's low, serotonin's low. That is a different sort of thing. Everyone's going to go through mood swings. That's normal. But when you can't function, when it affects your life, where you can no longer do the things you once liked to do, it's affecting your job or your family, that's when you need to recognize that you have a bigger problem.
So that you need to talk to your doctor about things.
Exactly.
Okay.
How would you help other people to overcome the mental illness of others?
So for me, if I want to treat people with mental illness, well, first off, there are a lot of mental illnesses, and in this case, I want to talk about depression. So the depression people, they do not want us to treat them differently. You don't just walk to them and say, be happy, because they can't control that. So it's an actual illness. So for me, I will treat depression people as they are just like human beings like us, but I will still help them get over a lot of their troubles, to just help them, treat them as normal people instead of, treating them as freaks. That's my understanding about treating a mental illness person.
I think that we need to be more sensitive and be more willing to talk about it, that it's not a bad thing. Just how somebody who has a learning disability, it's not a bad thing to have a learning disability. It's okay to talk about it, and once it becomes okay to talk about it, the people that are suffering from a mental illness are more willing to seek help and to think that they are normal and not feel different or excluded.
It is especially unfortunate that the stigma of mental illness is so great, given how prevalent it is. 1 in 4 Americans will be affected by a mental health disorder in any given year, and many more will have a family member affected. According to the National Alliances on Mental Illness, Serious mental illness costs the US $193 billion in lost earnings per year. Mental illness is a problem to our society. It's not far from people's normal day life. So our group walked around campus and asked our friends to give their help to people with mental illness. As a symbol of their commitment, we give them pop circles. Let's see how people react to them.
I pledge to do all my best to help people who have mental illness.
I pledge to do all my best to help people who have mental illness.
I pledge to do all my best to help people with mental illness.
I pledge to do all my best to help people who have mental illness.
I pledge to do all my best to help people who have mental illness.
I pledge to do all my best to help people who have mental illness.
A lot of